This is a fault of big research labs and their CEOs. They need to keep this Skype all the time.
Eduardo Ordax, who has built 100k plus LinkedIn followers by roasting the very industry he is helping to build, all through viral meme education content created during his 5 a.m. morning run. How do you steer founders away from this Control C, Control V innovation strategy?
When you see startups, and I talk to so many of them, I have the feeling that they're focusing too much on the.
Are we still missing something fundamental about intelligence that is actually working? What's your go-to humor and antidote when a founder says we are building an AGI-powered assistant for farmers, lawyers, astronauts all at once? So what do you tell them? Like, okay, stop here.
If you want to use deterministic technology, then don't use AI, right?
Yeah.
If I send you a pizza instead of a hamburger, maybe you get a bit upset, but still it's not a big problem. But if you are using AI to handle advice for a doctor having an hallucination, consequences they're going to be much bigger. On the startup ecosystem, it's not about building something that is good. It's about being. Apple was super criticized very recently because of.
What's your secret to surviving this AI career marathon at AWS without losing your hair? Maybe they would be adding a humor module to the Claude's character in the very future.
Maybe they need to come to me to ask for advice. It's super important. Human in the loop. Human in the loop.
Human in the. Everyone is hyping AGI, multimodality, auto agents, and whatnot, like all the buzzwords. So, what's your go-to humor and antidote when a founder says during your Amazon meeting, we are building an AGI-powered assistant for farmers, lawyers, astronauts all at once? So, what do you tell them? Like, okay, stop here. First, identify one single problem and then work backwards into building a solution.
Yeah. So the AGI concept, I think, has been misused most of the time,
Many times.
and this is a fault of big research labs and their CEOs that they are. I think they also have to don't let this AI cap to go down, right? So they need to
Yes.
keep this Skype all the time, and they
Yeah.
need to talk about, hey, what is gonna come, AGI, ASI, and all these things, right? And for
Yeah.
the people that they really know what they're talking about, it's just noise. But for many others, as I was talking before, right, we have builders and consumers, but 95% they are consumers. So the number of builders, it's very low. So I think we need to be responsible, and we don't need to misuse these concepts. So as you were saying, and this is something that we are doing at Amazon, is part of our philosophy, what we call, working backwards from the customer, working backwards from the problem, right? Sometimes AI is going to be the answer. Sometimes not going to be the same that we have very, high capable models like
Yeah.
GPT or Claude. But to be honest, I see many use cases where you just need something that is super simple, straightforward, and it's going to give you the same results. So I think we need to work backwards from there and say like, okay, yeah, maybe you need to create this super powerful assistant, but you just need something that gives you, for example, the status of your order. You don't need anything else. So I think that's the point. But I think, I mean, like at some point of time, as soon as companies they are starting to scale the amount of AI they are using, they will realize, especially because this can be like super expensive, right? So I mean, like if you are using these models, you will realize that you cannot use these models at this big scale because it's expensive and you need to go through different alternatives. So I think it's just a matter of like a maturity and so on.
Yeah. So, Anthropic has been working on building Claude's character with the help of philosophers and many others. If you were to add a humor module to Claude's character, how would it do, and how would you prevent it from accidentally roasting its own users? Like they did something with Golden Gate Claude. in the past, but like how would you add a humor module to Claude or
Yeah.
any other AI for that matter?
Well, it's funny, right? Because at the same time that, and I remember this paper from the Golden Gate where they were able to identify in which areas of the neural network Claude
Yeah,
were storing the knowledge. So if they were
knowledge. Yeah,
tweaking these neurons,
yeah,
they
claimed
were able
that.
to say
Yeah,
like, hey,
features. Yeah.
correct, you will talk only about the Golden Gate and so
Hmm.
on.
Yeah,
But at the same time, they are claiming that we don't know yet how these neural networks are working.
working.
So I think it's complicated,
Hmm.
but I think as well at some point of time we will be there. What I like about Anthropic, about these guys,
Hmm.
I think they're trying to focus a lot of using AI in a responsible manner, especially
Hmm.
because they have, I mean, like, and the business models for OpenAI and Anthropic, I think they are different. I mean, like,
Hmm.
OpenAI has a huge amount of consumer, like B2C, right? While
Hmm.
Anthropic, maybe it's more focused on the B2B, right?
B2B.
So companies
Yeah,
that they're using
enterprise
AI,
users. Yeah.
and that's why they focus on this constitutional AI approach. They
Hmm.
need to make sure like AI is going to be safe, it's going to be
Hmm.
responsible, it's going to be reliable.
Hmm.
So I think all the work that they are doing in this space is super good, and we are already seeing the results, right? So
Hmm.
I think that's something that I really like about them.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, that's very interesting. And maybe they would be adding a humor module to the Claude's character in the very future.
Maybe
And
they need to come to me to ask for advice.
yeah, exactly. They would need to train based on your LinkedIn posts, and Claude will become as humorous as Eduardo. So, yeah, so you touched upon this very important thing of interpretability that Anthropic has been working on since. And also, in one of the past interviews, you have mentioned about this neuro-symbolic AI approach that's kind of enhancing the explainability. So, there has been this fascinating research from Dan Hendricks arguing that mechanistic interpretability has fundamentally failed after over a decade of efforts. We haven't gotten any big insights into what's happening into the neural networks. Do you see neurosymbolic AI as the path toward that innate understanding, or are we still missing something fundamental about intelligence that is actually
Yeah.
working?
I think it's more like it works in a complementary manner. And we
Hmm.
have a product that we have released at AWS that is called Automated Reasoning Checks within Guardrails,
Hmm.
right? Where
Yeah.
you are able to transfer the knowledge into different variables. So when you are
Hmm.
providing an answer, you can,
Hmm.
like give the explainability on why you are stating that this is true or this is not. Of course, it works only with very limited scenarios like, like yes or no,
Hmm.
true or false or whatever, but still I think this is
Yeah.
something that is going to work. It's not to replace, but it's going to work in a
Hmm.
complementary manner. And
Hmm.
it's not working at the level of the neural network when you establish how to explain how the like neurons they are doing the connections or how they
Yeah.
are recalculating the way
Yeah.
when they are doing the back propagation. It's
Hmm.
more working in a complementary manner.
Hmm.
And I think it's a field that still a lot of research has to be done, to be honest.
Done.
So
Yeah. So you
again,
are
I
still
think we are
bullish
very
on that, right? Mechanistic
yeah, I think like
interpretability.
like
Yeah.
for some use cases where like explainability it's
Mm-hmm.
fundamental. I'm here
Mm-hmm.
maybe I'm more focused on like some specific use cases. Like for
Mm-hmm.
example, let's say we are talking about healthcare, right?
Healthcare. Yeah.
We need to understand
Mm.
if you are telling me to do A, B, and C, how
Mm.
to do that. For
Yeah.
the time being, I think we are far from there. Maybe we
Mm.
can say like, okay, it's 90% of the times you need to do this because of
Mm.
that. And I think
Mm.
in those aspects, I think like it's very useful, but still
Mm.
we are far from there. But it's something that is going to work very good in a complementary manner to LLMs and so on.
Yeah, yeah, got it. So, like neurosymbolic AI and mechanistic interpretability both go hand in
Correct.
hand for the future improvements. So,
Correct.
definitely 100% agreed. So, you quoted a very interesting thing like everyone is building exactly the same thing in this AI age, missing the crucial UI UX layer. So, as someone who has been interacting with dozens of startups at AWS, like how do you steer founders away from this control C, control V innovation strategy?
Yeah, so like it was funny because at the end of the day,
Mhm.
like for me, UI UX, it's super important because it's the
Yeah.
first contact with the end user, right? And I think in
Yes.
this space, probably like the biggest expert or the leader, it's Apple, right? I think
Yeah.
everyone is using Apple because of the user experience. I mean,
Yeah.
like I've been using an iPhone for I don't know, 15 years, and I'm not saying that it's better or it's worse, but it's
Yeah.
the user experience is unique,
Experiences.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So I
Different.
think
Yeah.
when we are using AI, when you see many companies, I mean, like when you see startups, and I talk to so many of them,
Mm.
I have the feeling that like they are focusing too much on the AI part, how they are going to do
Mm.
this AI agents or
Yeah.
whatever. But
Yeah.
then you see behind the scenes, they are pretty much all of them looking the same. So to be honest, how to succeed or not, most of the times it's just being lucky. I mean, like if
Yeah.
you have like like 1,000 companies building exactly the same thing, you just
Mm.
need to be lucky. And
Mm.
the same, for example, I think Perplexity is a good example.
Good example.
By that
Yes.
time, 2 years ago, nobody
Mm.
offered the same user experience Perplexity was offering by that time. Right
Mm.
now, you have many companies trying to replicate the same thing they are just doing, right? So,
Mm.
and you see it, right? You see the interfaces, and they are all of them. They are like
Yeah.
pretty much the same. So that's why I was claiming, like like everyone is trying to build, like the same stuff,
Yeah.
but sometimes you need to go one step
Yeah.
further. And again,
Yeah.
Apple was super criticized very
Mm.
recently because of this liquid new feature and so on. But I think in
Mm.
some manner they are going to redefine the user
Yes.
experience.
The
So
user
there are like
experience.
many things. Of course, AI is
Yeah.
super important. It's the brain,
Yeah.
but still you need to put the face on how this brain is going to interact with the
Yeah.
real
Yeah.
world.
Yeah. Because the first thing that we are gonna see is the face, right? So of
Correct.
course. Yeah, and
Correct.
I have experienced this during my industry experience as well as an AI product manager. So we were working on this AI platform, and of course, chatbot was one component of that entire product. So while building the user experience of that, the designers themselves were like, okay, let's see ChatGPT, let's see Claude, and then
Hmm.
combine all the elements and like put things together. Like there was no innovation that was happening or that was going into the UI UX design, and more of the thinking or the spending was going on the back end or the brain, as you
Yeah.
mentioned. So yeah, completely agreed. So here's a fun test. If you were to build an AI dad jokes app, so how would you design a different or unique user experience that makes it stand apart from the crowd that is there in the market?
For you mean an AI? Sorry, say again.
AI dad jokes app. So dad jokes, yeah.
Well, you just got me. I don't know. Probably I will have to think about how to do it. To be honest.
Okay. Okay.
Whoa, you got me. I don't know where to start. To be honest.
Okay. Okay. Got it. No worries. We can skip this. Like
But I will
these kind
think.
of
I will think.
over the interview you can think, and at the end we can come to
Okay.
this fun test. So yeah, let's move on to the next question. You recently posted about vibe coding, right? The full form of very inefficient but interesting. That was, I think, mentioned by Linus Torvald. Yeah, so this another AI influencer on LinkedIn, Andrew Young, recently posted that head of growth will be the most important startup role because software will become commoditized and distribution plus brand is the new mode. So he says that future growth leaders must break down virality to a science, and what you have done with your LinkedIn following,
Yeah.
and what maybe ChatGPT did with the Studio Ghibli trend that was like started by just one person, right? So you have literally done this at the intersection of Gen AI education and humor. So has being a humorist actually made you a better technical communicator and it turned you into that business equivalent of a 10x engineer that is the talk of the Silicon Valley with AI? So has it improved?
Yeah. So at the end of the day, probably like it's because of my background. I
Mm-hmm.
still have like a very technical background. I've been
Mm-hmm.
coding for so many years. I'm able to, recognize that I'm not a good developer. That's why I'm working right
Yeah,
now
same
more
for me.
close to the business,
Yeah,
closer to the business side. I mean, like
business side.
I'm
Yeah.
aware about, like my limitations. So if I'm not a good developer, I need to, because I'm very good at business. I'm very good at identifying, use cases, identifying
Mm-hmm.
challenges, trying to
Mm.
explain, trying to
Yeah.
address or to
Mm.
face those challenges, right?
Mm. Yeah.
But still you need to learn almost every day. I mean, like the knowledge is not coming into my head by
Yeah.
magically, and I know about
Yeah.
agents and so on. I
Yeah.
used to dedicate at least an hour, if not more, every day to read about, like new papers, new blogs, new comments. So I think that's the traditional way of learning, to be honest. Of
Mm.
course, the sources, they are like super different. Right now, I'm not following a course anymore, but I'm spending time on LinkedIn, on
Mm.
Medium, on
Yeah.
Archive, on Twitter, on Reddit. So I'm able to go through many different components. But I
Mm.
agree on something when you were talking about, like a head of
The head of
growth, for
growth.
example,
Yeah. Yeah.
is going to be one of the most important roles. I
Role.
agree with that. I don't think still, the software development is going to get commoditized. I mean, like,
Mm-hmm.
still you can vibe code, but
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
mean, like when you are vibe coding, this is based on what it has been built already. If you need
Mm.
to create new
Yeah.
stuff,
Mm.
still we are not there yet, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's why, I mean, like when you look into the offers, you see like, like software developers that are still, like increase the
Mm.
amount of software developers companies need.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
think vibe coding is going to make the gap between, for example, product managers and developer teams
Mm.
smaller. I remember, like product managers talking in one language and developers talking in
Yeah.
different
Not
language. So I
understanding.
think
Yeah.
correct. I think right
Yeah.
now they will be able to talk in the same language. I think the
Mm.
time to market is going to be reduced a
Mm-hmm.
lot because you can write or create or build a code much faster than before. But
Mm.
yeah, these roles that they are, like I think they are like the interlock on there in between on the technical side and the business side, they
Mm.
will gain a lot of relevance those
Yeah,
days.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Because as you mentioned that everyone is building the same thing, like in terms of user experience, right? Like if you look at AI dubbing tools or whatnot,
Yeah.
they are pretty much the same. So how do you sell it basically? So that is the role of salespeople or head of growth, and also from the industry perspective, if you check out Anthropic's career website, there are too many sales or go to market roles open because they
Correct.
need to make the sales, right? Yeah, yeah. Do you have any blueprint for sales people or the head of growth or like growth people? Like you can use these kind of techniques apart from humor.
Well, I don't know. I mean, like in my case, mainly it's, like my experience
Mm-hmm.
is trying to be organized, is trying to I mean, like you need to learn and you need to be updated with all the things that are happening
Mm-hmm.
in today's world, right? So
Yeah.
I think it's about, like trying to find the time to do that. And when we are talking about sales, I think one of the biggest aspects there, because I've been working in sales also for such a long time in my
Yeah.
career.
Yeah.
And when I'm talking about sales, I'm talking about, like being close to the customer, even if it's,
Customers.
like a go-to-market role, business developer, an account manager, or whatever, right?
Hmm.
And of course, needs a lot of, like consistency. By consistency, I mean you need to be organized. You need
Mm.
to be careful and look after your pipeline,
Mm.
build your sales plan, your account
Mm.
plan, all these things that, like it's pretty much like doing your homework.
Mm.
But it's still, because we are hiring people,
Mm.
we are hiring human.
Mm.
There is a super personal aspect that is
Yeah.
key. And the reality is like for most of the use cases or for most of the challenges,
Mm.
there is not a big difference about using, for example, one product or the other,
The
like using
other.
one
Yeah.
hyperscaler or why
Yeah.
using this app or the other. It's just this human factor sometimes
Mm.
what makes the
Yeah.
difference. Like when you are
Yeah.
going to buy a car, the
Mm.
people who is selling you the car,
Mm.
they are not actually selling you the car. They are
Car
actually feeling
experience.
selling you this feeling, this experience when you are going to drive the car. So the person, the salesperson who is able to, like to transfer
Mm.
you to make you feel like a sensation when you are driving this car, this is
Mm-hmm.
going to be the one that you are going to drive. So sometimes
Yeah.
it's not about the car
Yeah.
anymore, it's about the person who is selling the car. So I think with this is the same thing.
Yeah, yeah, that's a very, very powerful advice. Like, don't just sell AI tools, but sell an experience that the
It's an
person will
experience,
have.
correct?
Yeah, yeah, and how they will improve their productivity or their lifestyle using that product. So, definitely, it's a very powerful advice. So, as we were talking about this, product managers talking different languages, CEO talking different language. So, from my experience as an AI product manager, I have seen this pattern. Startups in this AI age are like very eager to race to market or go to market, thinking we will handle safety and security later. And then they get the salespeople or the other team members, they get bombarded with customer questions that these teams cannot answer around security or safety, like have you done enough testing and everything. So for non-techie founders like doctors, lawyers, accountants who are hyper focused to solve a real problem with AI, but don't know the AI safety or security nitty-gritties, how does AWS offer that magic bullet that helps them transform their AI applications into a bridge that is not just built, but it is built to last safely and securely?
Yeah. Well, I think this is a very important aspect, and it depends a lot on many different
Mm-hmm.
things right now, right?
Yeah.
It depends on the market or the region itself. For example,
Mm-hmm.
if we talk about regulation, it's not the same in the US, it's not the same countries like Singapore, it's not the same
Yeah.
Europe, it's not the same the UAE. So regulation is different, and
Yeah.
companies they try to adapt to the regulation in the
Mm-hmm.
country they operate.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
How companies, for example, they are building AI solutions in the EA, in the US versus
The EU.
Europe,
Yeah. Yeah.
because the implications are different. So this is from one
Different.
side. From the other side, it's also about the industry, right? So if I'm creating a chatbot to, I don't know, to manage or to handle a
Mm-hmm.
food request, okay, if I send you a pizza instead of a hamburger, maybe you get a bit upset, but still is not a big problem. But if you are using AI, for example, to handle advice for a doctor, or you are
Mm-hmm.
managing, like legal terms, of course, like having a mistake or having an hallucination,
Mm.
the implications and the
Could be,
consequences they're
yeah,
going to be much bigger. Correct.
bigger. Yeah.
So agree with you. You need to put in place different measures, and and
Mm.
and the thing is that you cannot get control over 100% of the cases. I mean,
Yes,
like there
yes,
is still a lot of
definitely.
edge cases that, and because we are using a non-deterministic technology,
Yes.
so if you want to use deterministic technology, then don't use AI, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah.
but you can use these tools, like for example at AWS we have these guardrails, right, where you
Uh,
can define like,
yeah.
okay, I want to remove all the PII data, or I want
Mm,
to implement policies to filter specific bad words in the
mm-hmm.
input but also in the output, or you want to avoid to talk about the specific content that maybe is
Mm,
not like a harmful content, but you want to avoid to talk about, for example, financial advice because you are a bank, but you don't want your chatbot to give financial advice, right? So
yeah.
we have these guardrails that they are, like a working in between, and like they're trying to ensure that you cover
Mm-hmm.
more use cases. Of course, the LLMs has been trained to be
Mm,
safe. They are
mm.
supposed to be trained
It's
to be
supposed
safe,
to be,
but
yeah.
they are not being safe most of the
Yeah.
times because still you have, like ways to bypass the LLM
Yeah.
and to make them
Jailbreaking and
react in
everything,
a
yeah.
correct, in a different manner, right? So you need to filter the input at the output and so on. So I think you need to use these tools.
Mm,
Some companies also provide information about the data they have used to be trained. They have the
mm,
model cards where they
mm,
even specify more information. So at least you can use all these different toolings to ensure your application, your final application is going to be more reliable. But
mm-hmm.
still, you don't have control over 100% of the cases. That's the reality right now.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Yeah.
why it's super important. Human in the loop, human in the loop, human in
Human
the
in
loop.
the loop, yeah, 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 yeah. 100% agreed. Yeah. Like from your experience in the field, like are startups like asking you like about these guardrails, or are they aware of these guardrails? Like, what's the real world scenario in that case?
Yeah, most of them they are aware. but probably, like startups is a different segment. I think, like big enterprises, they are more
Concerned
concerned
about,
about using
yeah, yeah,
this
data
kind of
mixing
products
and
because they
everything
are
happens, right?
interacting,
Yeah.
they are interacting with the end customers. They have a brand,
Mm-hmm.
they have a reputation, so they need to make sure
Reputation.
that, like their
Yeah.
solution is going to be reliable.
Mm.
In the startup ecosystem, it's a bit different because
Mm.
what I'm saying most of the time,
Mm.
I mean, like you were talking before about, like these Ghibli images, right?
Yeah,
So
Studio
why
Ghibli, yeah.
this was became so popular?
Mm.
Because they were the first one. Right now, if you have another LM that they are it's able to create Ghibli images, it's not going to get viral because, I mean, like it already happened once,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So on the startup ecosystem, it's not about building something that is good.
Mm.
It's about being good and
Mm.
being the first that you are building
First
that.
movers advantage, yeah,
That's
right.
why you need to move super fast. And that's why sometimes you cannot wait to have like the super final ready product. You
Mm.
need to iterate a lot and you just need to deliver. You need to,
Mm.
I always
Del-
say, like, like it's build quick, ship
mm.
faster.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
sometimes the product is not ready, it's not complete, but you
Mm.
need to deliver. Otherwise,
Yeah.
you cannot create your like user adoption.
Mm.
So
Mm.
sometimes it's a double-edged sword because it's complicated to like
Yeah.
navigate on
Yeah.
those aspects, but
Yeah.
you have to do
Uncharted
that.
territory, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
correct.
definitely. That's a powerful advice. So, do you want to spend some time on that application that we talked about, the AI Dead Jokes app? Or
Well, I think we can leave this for a second
no worries. Yeah.
episode. Yeah.
No worries. So, the final question. So, you recently dropped a meme of like your real and unique career path as an AI engineer, a post with its progression from junior intern with hair to VP of AI without
That
hair.
one, that one,
So
that one, that one.
that was hilarious, and that is the truth, right? As you see the people around you. So, what's your secret to surviving this AI career marathon at AWS and in general, like upskilling and everything, without losing your hair? We can see a lot
Yeah.
of hair on your hair. So,
I'm still a graduate. I'm still a graduate, so I
yes,
don't have the skills to be a VP in the near future, I guess. So I
yeah.
mean, like there is not a silver bullet here. At the end of the day, it's about you like being passionate about what you are doing. When you are
Mm,
passionate about what you are doing, everything is much easier. So
yeah.
you need to learn, you need to go through a lot of different sources of information. You need to interact to each other to see what's
Mm,
happening on the space,
hmm.
startup, enterprises, builders around the world. You need to have fun, to be honest. I mean, like you
Yeah.
really need to have fun. And
Yeah.
this is probably when people is asking me about, hey, are you not tired? I mean, like I'm traveling most of my time, and many
Hmm.
days I'm working 12
Yeah.
hours a day,
Yeah.
sometimes even more.
Mm.
I think it's about like trying to get a good work-life balance,
Yeah.
and this doesn't mean like, hey, I need to work only 8 hours a day. I know
Yeah.
people that maybe they are working 3 hours a day and they're like super frustrated, super stressed. So I
Yeah.
think it's about like trying to enjoy with the things that you are doing.
Mm.
But the real truth is I won't tell you my secret to keep this hair like this. So this is I will keep it only I will
Got it, got it. So if you were to tell us the AI experts that you follow and people can follow to get the right insight on right time, so who would you quote for that?
well, to be honest, I have so many people, but I'm super bad for the names. So
Okay.
and especially I'm very bad with names in Spain, right? Because they're like a Spanish name, but still I'm so bad. I was talking to a guy
Uh-huh.
before this conversation. He's also based in India,
Okay.
and he's doing this amazing infographics. Actually, I'm going to tell you right now what's the name because I'm checking it right now in
I
real
also have
time.
the same
Yeah,
problem.
it's Manthan Patel. So
Okay.
Manthan Patel, I mean, like it's amazing the things that he is creating on LinkedIn. But
Mm-hmm.
there are so many people.
Mm-hmm.
But in this aspect, I mean, like great people out there. I've learned a lot from
Mm-hmm.
there.
Yeah.
and they are super passionate about the things that they are saying and so on. So I really encourage people to, like, at the end of the day, you were talking about which is the secret, right? So social network, it's
Mm-hmm.
about being in touch with people, like
People, yeah.
real people being in touch with real people. It's not like
Yeah.
real people being in touch with AI bots,
Robots.
right? So I think in that aspect, it's super useful, and they're like amazing
Mm-hmm.
folks out there, like super close, super accessible. You can just drop a message and you're going to start talking to them. So
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think it's
Yeah.
something that people really should do.
Yeah. So to sum up your advice, networking is the key to learning in this AI
Yeah.
age. Like learn from people. And please do remember the name so that you can
Yeah,
quote
yeah.
in
Well,
future
I have
podcast.
my wish list with the names and so on, and
Yeah,
LinkedIn is
me
doing
too,
their
me too.
job, and
Yeah.
the algorithm usually puts me to those people because I'm
Uh-huh.
interacting with
Yeah,
them
exactly.
all the
Yeah,
time.
yeah. Yes, yes, yes. And thank you so, so, so much for your time. And finally, we got to do this podcast. Hopefully,
Yeah.
we get to do a part two of this soon once your traveling schedule is over and you are
Okay. Sure.
relaxed. So, thank you so much for doing this. And let me stop the recording first.